Okay, welcome new people. Actually, with this video, I have been asked by ex-students to record. What I'm thinking of doing is still getting my head around the technology, playing around with it on the weekend. What I hope to do is record and upload it, hopefully at the end of every day, to YouTube. I've just set myself up a YouTube account. So if you miss the lesson and you're lying dying in bed, you can put on YouTube, right, and watch the lesson, maybe, if you're that keen. Right? Anyway, it may not work. I shouldn't promise this, should I? But I'm just trying to think a bit of slang there. Yeah, there's one bit. I'm a spanner when it comes to technology. A spanner, like, you know, a spanner's not a very delicate tool, is it? Like, if you're a spanner, you're clumsy. You know that word, clumsy? Clumsy means that sort of, that's clumsy. It just reminds me, I mean, I'll jump around, you get used to me jumping around everywhere. Yesterday, I said to an ex-student who comes to these discussion groups, what did I say? Something about tread. What does tread mean? Tread. Yeah. Tread. I can't remember why. I think we were talking about stairs or something, treading upstairs. I said tread. What does tread mean? Right, she didn't know. She got level 4, she'd be a 4+ now. She didn't know what tread meant, right? Now, I find that interesting, but not uncommon. She would know words like ideology, hegemony, contradiction, all these high-level Latin words. Here's a simple little German word, verb, doesn't know it, right? So remember our vocabulary line. And we've got 10,000 here, up to 50,000. I don't know where tread would be. It'd be early on, somewhere here, I would think. And, you know, she knows all these cool words, doing a master's at the moment, doing really well, getting distinctions. So great vocabulary, around about this level, but doesn't know a word like that, right? So, knows all the Latin and the Greek, not all, but a lot. But these little Germanic, it's a verb, and it's a material verb, physical, incredibly basic. It just means this. That's tread. It's a really simple action, isn't it? But at your level, and even at her level, she doesn't know these. Now, my point about this is, I'll give you a list of these verbs. It's not totally complete, but it'll have, you'll look at it and I think you'll know 80 to 90%, but it's that 10 to 20% of these sorts of verbs that clearly you need to get. And probably, if you keep doing what you're doing and studying, your academic English in a tertiary course, either TAFE or uni, or you go into your profession, you may not come across that word for a very long time. Probably if you're a doctor, or a podiatrist, a foot doctor, yes. But if you're an accountant or a geologist, it could be years, couldn't it? But there are idioms based around this. And someone says, oh, you know, I'm going to introduce this new idea today at the meeting. Somebody says, I would tread softly if I were you. I would tread carefully. It's a metaphor, isn't it? And it's about, you know, progressing carefully. But you won't understand it unless you've got the basic material verb. So these material verbs, really, I consider to be, in many respects, the foundation of a whole lot of higher level stuff that adults do. So the question is, if you're not going to get these things in your professional academic life, where do you get it? Remember that? I gave it to you last week, and new people. I mean, we're going to use it for pronunciation, but kids stuff, you can do all sorts of things with kids stuff. It's a great treasure box for all sorts of reasons, and one reason is this. Kids live in a very material world, don't we? We still live in it, but we're sort of more abstracted. It's full of material verbs. And if you throw yourself into early literature, either kids or teenage, you'll get the direct experience of a lot of this. And if you listen to audiobooks of that kind of literature, you'll get a lot of this. This is how the native builds their foundation. That's how you did in your first language, which is probably your best. And the more we can reproduce the conditions and the strategies of the first language acquisition, probably the better and faster you'll be at your second or third language. So that's one of the things we're aiming to do in here. And that's partly, this sort of philosophy informs, to some extent, some of the Moodle, the website for the course, which is here. So what we're going to do today is look at some further things in the Moodle. So, g'day. Hi, diploma? Yes. Come in, I'll jot it. Come and grab a seat. You people, are you stuck with your login? Probably. I'll just log you in today. You can't do it. Alright, try logging in. If you don't have any luck, or other people who were here last week, if you don't have any luck, please, I can quickly log you in. Yeah, you need to see the library. Yes, student ID, and then I think it's date of birth with 8. Yeah, it did work. Okay, I'll log you in now. Yeah. How does everyone else go? Log in? No, okay, if you go to Google, and what you're going to do is go into the TAFE Moodle. So it's TAFE, SA, Moodle. A Moodle is just the name of software, some international software that companies use, a lot of education institutions use for creating websites for courses or business projects or whatever. If you go there and, for the moment, log in as guest. Up the top, TAFE SA Moodle. What I'll do once everybody's arrived, and we have a little bit of a independent playing around time, I might pair old people, very old people from last week, up with new people to show them how to enrol in the Moodle. Right? So, if you're new this week, don't worry, we'll get you there. Found? Yeah, that's it. Just here, right, JR, my initials, JR. Take SA Moodle in there. There you go, that login. No luck, I'll log you in. Okay. Right, new people who have problems with login, go to the library at some time, to the front desk, And just tell them you've got a problem with your login and I'll sort it out. You should sort it out. What does it say? But it's still login course. Check that you didn't write it. Okay, looks like zip load. I don't know if this will do it. Yeah, I don't know if this does it.
On the little piece. I might change the password, check it back.
You're in. Okay. Yeah, let's try that one.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. How about everybody else? Is everyone else okay? Yeah, you're getting it. Just try when my high technology extends to this. When I have a problem, I change browsers. And sometimes it works.
Okay.
About 60%, 70% of the time it works. If not, I'm not sure what to do. Possibly another computer.
Okay.
Really high-tech solution, but go to another computer.
I love that.
So,
How are we going?
can you search as J1?
Sorry. JR. JR?
Just J1.
Yeah. Still. Yeah, maybe try another computer. Yeah. Chrome. The other thing, another browser. Let's see if that's the, yeah, sorry about these problems today. No, maybe. I don't know if you do. Oh, gonna see. Here we are. I think we're working. Yeah. I changed browser from Chrome, so type JR in here. So you go to take this and move JR. Right. Primary English proficiency. Agreed? Yes. There you are. Yes, good, you're in. I'll just check everybody's in.
I have to contact support.
It says account is blocked.
How are we going? Take us a noodle, good. One noodle. That's it. If we go to take us a noodle.
I'm not sure my ways.
When you log in as a guest, by just typing my initials, J, R. And find the course, that's it. You click on the course, and you agree. And we're in. That's the noodle. How are we going? That computer
Oh.
doesn't look well.
Okay, I will go.
No, there you are. You're in.
But can't open it.
Oh, that's right. You can't open it. Yeah.
They call the contact
Okay.
team.
Yeah. Try another computer.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a network support team.
IT. I think you go to the library if you have IT issues. Consult the library. But quicker and easier. I would say there's something wrong with that computer because all the others seem to be working. How are we going? Are we all in?
So I have to go.
All right. Let's get going. Someone's just gone there. Now we try the one you had last. Okay, we're in the Moodle. So let's go. I'm just going to wave that at the camera. That just tells the person who's watching, here's an important bit. Okay. The Moodle. I'll just very quickly, because some people are new here, you can either look at this, actually, yeah, I'll look up here for now, I'll switch you to your computer where you can see it in a minute, because some people are still logging on. Okay, we've got stuff, resources on vocabulary, grammar, listening, writing, reading, pronunciation and speaking, media, critical thinking, all of these are part of the course. Public intellectuals, Australian language, Australian culture, there's a lot of slang there. Broader strategies and habits about learning language. English itself, a little bit on history of English, the nature of English as a language. Poetry and prose, we do a little bit of this. And the other thing is that can help you with pronunciation. Various issues that we've looked at in the past, we might look at them again. Further pathways means what do you do when you finish this course? Some links that may assist you there. Further courses or stuff on job seeking and so on. A little bit on Aboriginal issues. Particular texts that we've played around with in the past. So there's a lot there. There's over 300 links. We cannot go through them all. This session, this Monday session, is mainly devoted to going through these things. Some are self-explanatory, some need quite a lot of explanation and practice in here. The key, what I'm going to be doing is showing you a link, explaining how it works. Some of them will be quick, some of them will be longer. With the longer, more complex ones, our task in here is to, in the time we're here, get familiar with it, have a quick practice, a 5 to 10 minute, quarter an hour practice. You know, and I'll stop you and you won't have finished the task. But if I can see that everybody knows how to get in, knows how to click that link, knows how to look this up, right, you're off. Your job is to use it in the rest of your time.
Nadine, the stuff open, but the stuff not open.
Mine doesn't either. Right, it doesn't like me, obviously.
No, because I was...
You were enrolled with her before.
Was here before,
Yeah,
so...
okay, so log in.
This is...
I'll come and sort you out in a minute and just look here. So, okay, a general thing to say on this idea. Okay, here's a resource. It's not the only resource in the course. This is the main electronic resource, which leads to many other resources, of course. But, you know, I'll be giving you hard copy resources, books, etc., dictionaries to suggest. Okay, all those resources, as I said last week, this time last week, the course is based around resources, strategies, and ultimately using those a lot. Leads to habit, doesn't it? I'll write it up now. Good old Aristotle, 2,300 or so years ago, said a number of things that were pretty interesting, and we'll be looking at Aristotle a few times in the course because some of what he said about writing is still very useful today. But here's what he said about anything. which I think is quite important. We are what we repeatedly do, whatever we do a lot. I mean, I've taught English for 35 years, so, you know, I am what I have done. You are what you do, whatever it is, sport, music, your profession, your interest, you know. We get really good at these things. Some research, German research originally, and then it spread, shows to be an expert, 10,000 hours. If you do 10,000 hours of something, you know, if you look at the experts around the world, they started with a survey of musicians, international level musicians in Germany. The common thing, 10,000 hours. People at a local level, music performers in cities, 5,000 hours. Amateurs, good amateurs, 2,000 hours. And I think that's pretty important. I'm just reading a little book at the moment on learning music and strategies for practice. And it's helpful for me because I'm learning piano. But also a lot of that, I'm thinking about for these classes. And a lot of it's transferable to learning anything. 10,000 hours. So you can be in a country for a long time, and if you've got the doors and windows locked, either physically at home, some people aren't they, stuck in the home a lot, or even metaphorically, you can walk around the city and you go to Coles and you catch the bus and, you know, you go to the health clinic and then you go home, you know, and the doors and the windows are shut. You can be here a really long time. It's not a question of, oh, I'll get English in 10 years, or 2 years, or 20 years. It's a question of hours. You've got to get hours. You've got to get hours, as we say in English, under the belt. You've got to collect them, don't you? And anything. You've got to collect basketball throwing hours under the belt. So the question is, I think if you think of it this way, certainly it changed my music practice. When I thought, oh, you know, I'll probably be quite good in 3 years. Yeah, if I play half an hour a day, will I? No. You've got to collect hours. Can I do an hour a day? Can I do 2? You know, that's what I'm aiming at. So, for you, language is a bit easier than something like music or sport. Because language, we're just using it all the time, aren't we? If you're working, or even if you're not working, you can join interest groups or go to libraries or join a course, and we're using it. So the number of hours that you can collect is actually a lot easier. Here's the clue though. The key, I should say. And that word there, it's not 10,000 hours of practice. You could say, oh, well, I'm going to practice my listening and go and read the newspaper a lot and go to the cinema, get all those words. That'll help. But it's deliberate practice. So deliberate means if I'm practicing basketball shooting, I don't just get out there and think about the weekend and shoot. I'm thinking every single thing like position of hand, roll of the ball, eye line, position of the feet. You know, that's deliberate practice. If I'm just mindlessly doing that, forget it. It doesn't count as an hour. So, here's the question. How do you get deliberate practice in English? Deliberate. You have to be thinking about yourself, thinking and speaking and listening in English. Okay? So, an important prefix, meta, Greek, meta, beyond, beyond or above. I'll write 2 words. That one looks a bit difficult. I'll write one that means the same thing, but I would like to use that one because it's more kind of what's used in the literature. Okay, meta-awareness. In other words, when you speak, or when you're listening, or when you're reading, we've already practiced this. Oh, what collocations are in this sentence? You know, the stuff we did last week. When you're speaking, the little bit, the last quarter of an hour last week, am I getting my rhythm right on my stresses? You know, one little part of your brain, somewhere, has to be, don't get scared of the Illuminati, it's got to be a little eye, doesn't it, watching you, speaking, listening, reading, writing. That's meta-awareness. And how big is your meta-awareness? Is it a little dot? Or is it that big? Or is it that big? The bigger it is, the better. Obviously, it's a trade-off, isn't it? You make your meta-awareness too big, you don't have any thinking room for doing what you're doing, speaking, listening, reading, writing. So there's a balance. So it's obviously going to be smaller in processing terms than the actual task. But you have to have meta-awareness. And based on that meta-awareness, you think, I did that really well, yes, I think I'm learning, or no, I missed that auxiliary verb, or I was too quick with my stress, or whatever, and you correct. Okay, so, performance, feedback, revision. Any learning process is that cycle. Performance, then the feedback from meta-awareness. Okay, must remember that auxiliary verb, must remember that plural. Re-perform, some other time, some other day, etc. Okay, so this, well, all of these areas can be informed by meta-awareness. Cognition, cog, to think. So thinking beyond yourself, it's like you're above yourself and observing yourself, right? Whether you're shooting the basketball hoops or speaking a noun phrase, doesn't matter. Okay, so what's that got to do with our course? These resources, plus the hard copy resources, plus the strategies we look at, and then repeated practice develops a habit of meta-awareness and hopefully a very informed, deliberate practice where we're using a whole lot of things we learn from here to sharpen our awareness of what we're doing. Just one example, I think last week, collocations. Hopefully now you're more, did you notice on the weekend, anyway, more meta-aware of reading the newspaper? Oh, collocation. You're not speaking, gee, I just made a collocation. You know, that's building, that's slowly growing this meta-awareness, isn't it? Now, you've already got a certain degree of meta-awareness. You wouldn't be at this level if you didn't have it. You've probably got quite advanced meta-awareness in various areas. The idea of this 6-month course, expand that, sharpen it, but you can only really do that if you do what good old Aristotle says and practice, practice, practice what we do in here. So the time in here is mainly to build knowledge and practice. And then out there, you go and do that, don't you? And you go and do this. Informed, deliberate, meta-aware, performance feedback revision. What it means is this, I didn't say this last week because I think we're all here now, apart from a couple of people who are sick, so. But usually, because usually I start with 23, 25 people and we had a bit of an administrative issue and so welcome new people, we're topping up the group. But one thing I'd like to say to the full group, very early on, remember the iceberg last week got mentioned? We got mentioned in a talk, PowerPoint, but also I mentioned about pronunciation. The other thing I want to mention it in relation to is this, practice. Here is the class. roughly 4 hours a day, isn't it, on average? I want you to think of the class as collocation, the tip of the iceberg of your English learning. Most of your English learning is going to happen outside the class. It already has, obviously.